What up, world? Um, it's good to be back like a motherfucker, man. Um, NFL draft next weekend, repping my squad, the horseshoe. Hopefully, we get a good pick in the first round, in all rounds, man. But this is movie talk. I hope y'all missed me. I hope the YouTube community even noticed that my motherfucking ass really hasn't posted a damn video in about 3 weeks. A movie related video because me and my dog old Pizzle did our NBA playoff predictions a couple weeks ago, last weekend, whenever the playoffs started, man. But you see the video title, man, Dreamworks animation. If you follow me on Instagram at Everybody Loves Randy, anytime I post a Disney, a Pixar, a Dreamworks, I use the hashtag I'm a big ass kid because I am a big ass kid. I love cartoons. Um, from when I was little, man. Batman the Animated Series to Tom and Jerry and the Flintstones, Scooby Doo, Animaniacs. I'm an Indiana Maniac. Darkwing Duck. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man. X-Men, Spider-Man, Superman. And then it just grew into movies, man, because Toy Story came out in 95. But DreamWorks really got their start in 98. That's when Ants came out. Ants, Woody Allen is the main character, and it's got Jennifer Lopez, Sylvester Stallone, and it went real under the radar if you ask me, man, because A Bug's Life came out like 6 weeks later and crushed. And they were practically similar in story along the lines of a bug being an outcast and trying to survive among the bigger, more dominant insects. Blame Rihanna, blame Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, Jim Parsons, and DreamWorks in general for this video, because this is the first video in what I told y'all was gonna be just random ass videos, not one movie star that I was gonna do a list, just a list of my favorite action movies, a list of my favorite comedy, superhero movies, slasher movies, because I really don't fuck with the whole horror genre. Um, so in my first video, which will probably be underrated as these movies are, is DreamWorks Animation. And at number 10 is the movie to blame, Home. Um, Jim Parsons is an alien on the run because their leader Steve Martin has them running from another alien. They invade Earth. Humans are put on one certain place. Rihanna, for one very clever reason, doesn't get abducted. She befriends Jim Parsons, doesn't really trust him at first. They both realize that they're outcasts and don't fit in, but they're the ones that have the most logical ideas. It goes on from there. Jennifer Lopez is also a voice in this, and I really liked it because I would say, like, for the first like 2/3 of it, they're going to do a certain thing, and then they achieve that certain thing. So I thought the movie was over, but then it still had like 25 minutes left where it really like hit home. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended. And it made the movie better. It made it more interesting, and I liked it a lot more. And as of right now, it's one of my favorite movies of the year. If you haven't seen it and you like animated movies, man, I highly recommend it. At number 9, I got Monsters vs. Aliens. I remember this came out the end of March 2009, the same weekend Home and How to Train Your Dragon came out. In their respective years, don't get it twisted. But Reese Witherspoon ended up playing like the 50-foot woman. Hugh Laurie was like Dr. Cockroach or some shit. But Seth Rogen stole the show playing Bob, just this big ass like blue one-eyed goop, and it was hilarious. And he had his laugh, you know, that Seth Rogen. But then you got Renee Zellweger, Paul Rudd, Stephen Colbert, I think Arlie Ermy, just a lot of like really cool voices that you wouldn't expect to do a movie like this. And then the aliens were led by Rainn Wilson, and the monsters had to fight the aliens. And I think it's one of DreamWorks' most underrated movies. At number 8 is another one that I think is highly underrated, and that's Megamind. It was originally starring Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr., but it ended up starring um, Will Ferrell, Brad Pitt, Tina Fey, Jonah Hill, David Cross, and Megamind, voiced by Will Ferrell, is the supervillain, and Brad Pitt is what's his name, Metro Man, and he ends up going into hiding, and then there's a role reversal because Megamind has to save the day because of Jonah Hill's character, and there's just so many plays on Superman, Lex Luthor, Metropolis, Christopher Reeve, and it's just real clever, and like nobody went to go see it, I feel like, and like I really loved it. At number 7, I got Over the Hedge, and that came out in 2006. And it stars Bruce Willis, Steve Carell, Gary Shandling, Nick Nolte. I think Avril Lavigne does a voice. Wanda Sykes, Thomas Hayden Church. Like that's what I love about DreamWorks movies, man. The cast is so ridiculously enormous. Bruce Willis is in debt to Nick Nolte. He's like a raccoon is in debt to a bear, and he ends up in this like neighborhood backwood forest or whatever, and he shows them how good people food is. They're used to burrowing and storing nuts and grubs and shit for hibernation, and like Allison Janney plays a human who they like invade her house and try to get all her food going through her trash and stuff. Thomas Hayden Church plays an exterminator. And it's another one, man. I feel like my whole list full of underrated DreamWorks movies, and there's a lot that I didn't list. But man, this is another one, man. I really love this, man. And Steve Carell, like, he stole the show in this movie as Hammy, a squirrel who he's just full of energy and hyper throughout the whole movie. At number 6, I got Mr. Peabody and Sherman. This one came out last year, 2014. Another one that I felt just went real under the radar. Like the box office returns for DreamWorks just haven't been solid, probably since. Dude, I didn't even know, man. I think like everything since the first How to Train Your Dragon has really underwhelmed for them, and this was another one. Ty Burrell plays Mr. Peabody. Max Charles plays Sherman. Ariel Winter plays the little girl of Leslie Mann and Stephen Colbert, and they have a time machine, and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and they just go through like different like real educational times in history. Like Patrick Warburton is back in like Roman times. Lake Bell plays Mona Lisa. Stanley Tucci I think plays like Leonardo da Vinci or an artist of some type. And they just go through these different types like ancient Egypt and shit just to get back home. It's another one, man, that just nobody, I feel like nobody saw, and it deserved a lot more love, I think. 5, I got Penguins of Madagascar. It came out last November, and just once again, man, box office returns. It didn't even hit $100 million. And like I thought it would do like what I predict Minions to do this summer. It make ginormous amounts of money that can't even fit in my crib. That's what I thought Penguins of Madagascar would do, because like people love the Penguins. Anytime I would have a conversation about the Madagascar movies, people would just be like, the Penguins are hilarious. They got their own movie. They got a spinoff, and they played off like the secret agent thing, the spy thing that they do in the Madagascar movies. And Benedict Cumberbatch voiced the character. John Malkovich voiced the character, and just the dialogue was hilarious, and just the different things they had to do. It showed their origin story to an extent, and then the dialogue, just the wordplay that they would use to build off like an actor's name and use it in whatever like conversation that they were having. I just found it so clever the way it was written. I mean, I ain't even got to talk about the animation, man, because the animation is so sharp and so crispy throughout all these movies, even the ones I didn't name. At number 4, I got The Croods. I'm sitting here ranting about box office, man. I think The Croods actually did pretty well at the box office. Nicolas Cage plays a caveman who's just really trying to keep his family safe, and Catherine Keener is his wife. Emma Stone is his daughter. Clark Duke is his son, and Ryan Reynolds plays a character named Guy, and he's really the one that like gets them into trouble, and they go into parts of the world, parts of the region that they're in that Nicolas Cage isn't comfortable with, and but Emma Stone just follows him wherever he goes. Like it's just the first time she saw a guy, and there's an attraction there between the characters. Nicolas Cage doesn't like it. They encounter different creatures, and it's real hilarious, man. I think it's one of the smarter movies that they've done lately. Number two or three, two and three, however, like, it's kind of cheating, but it's my list, so it's not cheating. Is both How to Train Your Dragon movies. Um, the first one came out in 2010. How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out last year, 2014. And the first one, you got Vikings. Jay Baruchel, Gerard Butler, Craig Ferguson, America Ferrera, T.J. Miller, Kristen Wiig, Jonah Hill, Chris Mintz-Plasse. And they're like a Viking tribe. They're afraid of dragons. Jay Baruchel plays Hiccup, and he befriends a dragon, trains a dragon, and it's basically his struggle to show his people that dragons aren't dangerous if you train them right. And then toward the end, man, it's a 5-year-old movie, so expect a little bit of spoilers, man. There's obviously a battle toward the end where the dragons do in fact help them succeed, and then the sequel, man. You got Hiccup and Toothless, and they're all stars now, man. They're superstars. People like they got fans and shit. They're doing competitions, and then you got the characters from Kate Blanchett, Kit Harington, Jon Snow from Game of Thrones voices a new character. Jaimin Hansu voices the villain, and then it deals with loss, and it's like it's got some like you know what I'm saying, pulls at the heartstring type moments. And so it's a newer movie. I don't want to get too into it, but it was as good or better. That's what I'm saying. Like these movies are great, and then they've already planned How to Train Your Dragon 3 for like I want to say 2017, 2018. So number one, number two, I've talked about like 9, 11 movies by now, but number one and number two are the first two Shrek movies. Shrek 2 is my favorite DreamWorks movie overall, but I feel like it was a continuation of the first one, and the first one is great. Um, just the chemistry between the voices, man. It sounds like Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, um, and Cameron Diaz are all tight, and just Donkey has so many one-liners, man. Donkey's hilarious, and Mike Myers is a king of voices. In a movie that was originally made for Chris Farley, man. Because if you look at Chris Farley and you look at Shrek, man, they look pretty similar. I wonder if Cameron Diaz was still supposed to be Fiona and Eddie Murphy was still supposed to be Donkey if Chris Farley would have made the movie. I feel like these two movies are classic. Um, you could argue that How to Train Your Dragon movies could be classics too, but the first two Shrek movies are classics in my opinion. The Shrek 2, man, like how they based Far Far Away on Hollywood. They even have a sign, the Hollywood sign that says Far Far Away. The Rodeo Drive, the different stores and the different places, restaurants that they flipped into something to put in like a fairy tale world. It was just so smart, and like how there's a scene where they're on cops and they're like arresting, they're apprehending Puss in Boots, and and he's got catnip, but like everybody knows that was meant to be weed, like shit like that. It was just so funny. I can't say the same for Shrek the Third or Shrek Forever After, man. They were good attempts, but they were just nowhere near as smart, as funny, as clever, as original as the first two movies, man. I don't dislike any DreamWorks animated movie. Um, like I wanted to find room for Turbo on here. I wanted to find room for the Kung Fu Panda movies. Um, the first Madagascar. I think Madagascar 2 was cool, and Madagascar 3 is cool, but I think Madagascar 3 overall is the weakest DreamWorks movie. Um, as I really like Ants, but I couldn't fit it on the list. B movie, man. There's just so many movies that there are to choose from, and just a lot of ones that I really really like got left out of my top 10. So which DreamWorks movies do y'all like, man? Any of them that I named, any that I didn't name? Like I said, Ants, Shark Tale with Jack Black and Will Smith, which is kind of like a play on a Bronx Tale. That one caught a lot of hate, but I really like it. Like I said, B Movie, the Madagascar series, the Kung Fu Panda series, Puss in Boots. They've done so much, man. Rise of the Guardians. They're all so good, but I mean, my list is 10 movies. And then I think they've got Kung Fu Panda 3 coming out in January, which is weird to me. It's just strange that they would put a movie that should crush at the box office in January. Um, I think for my May movie talk, I'm gonna be seeing summer movie season starts next weekend, so I'm practically gonna be giving y'all movie reviews every weekend, and my movie talk next month, deciding right now. I'll give y'all my top 10 superhero comic graphic novel type movies. Next weekend, Avengers Age of Ultron. The weekend after, maybe Hot Pursuit, maybe Maggie, probably both. Stay tuned to my shit. Y'all know where to find me, man. Peace.